So, from events with an extreme cut, like the Arnold Palmer Invitational, to events with no cut, like the new PGA designated events.
Very, very good.
Well,
Thanks. You've stepped it up today.
Thank you.
I'm really proud of you.
I mean, I'd like to know
We'll have a cuddle later.
what an extreme cut is, but you know, what happened to him?
You actually have to swim home through that alligator
Lake.
Yeah.
Just chucked in.
And Max Homer's feet have been in it.
Yeah, because doesn't this mean the PGA Tour have basically said that
We're live now.
I've got the list.
It's on the phone.
Oh, it's on your phone. Well, I'll get the computer and we'll look it up.
From memory, it's 70 to 78 player fields, so it can range between that. And then it's the top 50 in the world automatically in. And then there's something to do with the standings, the top 5, I think, from the BMW Championship get in automatically as well. And then it's the current top 10 FedEx rankings also get in. Is that correct?
You know,
You're doing a great job,
All
Raj.
right, okay.
You're doing a great job of stalling. Yeah.
But the kind of the big point of it is that the field is selected from basically the guys who are at the top of the game at that time.
Yep.
But also it means there are no cuts, which is obviously the conversation now has run into, is this becoming very similar to another golf tour that we've been speaking about? Is there some kind of copying? Is there some kind of, we see something that's good and we want a piece of that? Or is it kind of, how is the PGA kind of working their way through this kind of thing? I mean, the idea of having tournaments where the best guys are there kind of makes sense, because you're in a situation where you're putting the best product on the television, which the argument's sake for that is, well, are they just trying to create something that's a better package for sponsors, for people putting money into these events? Do people want to sponsor when the top 50 aren't there, kind of thing? But I wonder if this cut thing is going to maybe cause a little bit of anger between the PGA Tour pros as well, because there's going to be guys that won't be able to get onto these events anymore if they don't play well.
Yeah, I mean, all they've done is they've almost made the tour now a little bit of a 2-tier tour, kind of moving forwards. So you've got to get your ranking good enough based on your FedEx points to get into these limited field events, which, they're not super limited, but, there isn't a cut there anymore.
Yeah.
And for me, to be honest, it wouldn't particularly bother me in some respects if the tour hadn't made such a big deal out of the fact that having cuts at an event made it more competitive when they were trying to compare and contrast themselves to live.
Yeah.
So that's one of the kind of issues, and you could certainly kind of level a certain amount of hypocrisy at them for that. But at the same time, you are right, they are trying to make sure that they have their very best players at this event so people will watch it.
Yep.
It really is as simple as that.
In my mind, it was like, how do we guarantee that Tiger Woods is there at the end of the weekend?
There was one of the little kind of side notes of that whole thing was that there was an available 3 invite places like for the events and stuff, which I think they said on the telly was like, just to make sure that if Tiger wanted to pop along for one, then there's a space for him to go in for. It's not a change that I quite like it in terms of, for us, that we're going to get a good golf to watch on the television because the best players are going to be there to play. We're going to get something that's very similar to what we just watched now. All the top guys gunning to win a lot of money, elevated tournaments, should be good for the mass. I think. The counter argument to the cut situation in regards to Live is obviously, or even the package of what Live is doing compared to what the PGA Tour is doing now, is it at least does allow those guys that are going to be on that threshold of outside the top 78 players, even guys that maybe are down, can play their way in. It does give them an opportunity to get there.
It's not a closed league.
Yeah, it's not a case of like with the Live guys, you've signed your name on a dotted line,
you're
play.
In and you're playing.
At least there is an opportunity to get there now.
Yeah.
You're going to have to play some bloody good golf. Yeah. That's the bottom line.
A lot of it.
It just becomes a little bit more elitist, doesn't it? Which is the issue for me.
I think that's so. For those events, it's not a closed door, but the door's not fully open.
No.
Yeah.
You still have to have a key card and the code.
Yeah, exactly. You need to work hard enough to save up to get your key card to get in.
And the
these
guy opens
events.
the door, he's like, password.
Yeah.
And you're like, top 50?
The
All right, you
idea
can
of
come
it
in.
is obviously you've got your best guys that are up there all the time, and then you've got melted into that the guys who are on a hot streak who are going to be able to get in from being in the top 10 or how many it is for FedEx rankings, for winning well at the BMW, for playing well in current events. Yeah. So it's just trying to make a melting pot of the best guys at that current moment of time playing at that event.
But do we get, and I know Kitayama was obviously up there already, but do we get situations like that if the case is there are, like there's a cutoff before the tournament even starts? I like the fact that on a Thursday and a Friday, someone could get ridiculously hot who isn't in the top, 30 in the world, and then be... And like some amateur comes in and wins some giant event. That's what I'd love to happen.
Yeah.
But does that go away then if this is the case?
I mean, Kitayama's probably not the best example because he would have been there anyway because he was a top 50 player.
But someone who you don't expect to go and win the tournament.
No, sure,
goes out and wins it.
Again, I'm speaking from just a very quick sort of understanding of what the kind of permutations of getting into this tournament are. And I know that there are ways for people who are playing well at that current moment in time to be able to get in.
Yeah.
Does it allow your 125th ranked player to be in the field and then all of a sudden come out of nowhere? No, it doesn't. There is obviously still other events, but this is the point that Pete makes, is that the PGA Tour has now kind of created itself as a two-tier system of...
There's the wide events that anyone can enter and anyone can win, and then there's these designated events where all the best players are definitely going to be there. It's going to be great to watch on TV.
Yeah.
And great to walk around because you can guarantee that the big boys are going to be there on a Sunday.
But they already had that this year. They already started that off a little bit this year. Like we saw it with the waste management, that we had 15 of the top players there, the top FedEx players. So I thought they were doing a great job by doing that. That's what they implemented this year.
Yeah.
And then it still allows your amateurs to come in, your Monday qualifiers to come in.
Yeah.
So you lose the sense of for me, you lose the sense of the PGA Tour. For me,
one of the most exciting things, not from this year but last year, was Sahith Vagala kind of coming up and almost winning.
Yeah, those the rookies
exactly
coming up.
That.
And he wouldn't have had that opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Mito Pereira.
Exactly, and that's the PGA Tour. That is what it is.
Yeah, and because anytime you take a cut away from an event, the competition within that event is going to be reduced. Because
you relax.
You do relax. And there's also, one of the biggest kind of criticisms of LIV as well is that the players who don't play well still get a massive cash out. Now, it's probably not going to be it won't be to the same extent in these events. However, you can have 4 rounds of absolutely shocking golf and still get paid out of the other end of it. How do I get events? Yeah, exactly. Sign me up. So that is an issue with it. And it does take away that competition. It does take away potential stories. But it also, over the course of a PGA Tour season, puts a lot of events in a really weird spot. And we saw this maybe a little bit more for the first time this year, last week, at the Honda. Nobody watched it.
Yeah.
Because none of the major players were kind of up there and competing. Now, it was a great story for Chris Kirk winning, and it was really good to see. But there's going to be a lot of other events out there now thinking, well, I'm not getting this elevated status. None of these top players are coming to play. What am I doing?
Why am I going to go to that tournament?
Yeah, do they need to just do then a better job of telling us the Chris Kirk kind of stories as the event kind of unfolds, as those people make their way to the top of the leaderboard? Do we need to be seeing the kind of full swing level background on the players who are then reaching the top of these tournaments? Because the reason that you wanted Chris Kirk to finish that off is because you found out about the story. Do they need to then do a better job of selling those kind of non-designated events to us?
Yeah. I mean, the coverage generally on a golf tournament, it does need to change. It does need to be better. Not only for the UK audiences, when we watch the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour, that is through Sky. There's no really other access to it. And there are ad breaks, but generally watching golf on Sky compared to watching golf in the US. It's completely different.
Yeah.
Really? What's
So much more
More ads in the US.
Yeah.
Watching golf in the US can be unbearable with the amount of ads. It's just constant. And I saw somebody kind of comment the other day about they were obviously watching the golf at Bay Hill. There was all this carnage going on. And they showed like 5 or 6 shots. And then the commentator was like, so to tell us more, let's go to the CEO of MasterCard.
Yeah.
It was like
Flaming Casino.
He was chatting about like all the good charity work and stuff that had been going on.
He shot 91 at his local Muni last week. He knows a lot.
It's fine, but it's like, well, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Why are we breaking the action here to go see this guy?
Yeah.
And then you get, your Swing Vision, which is I think whatever it is, like that was sponsored. Like everything on there just has this sheen of being sponsored by something.
Yeah, they're just trying to sell you something at every turn.
And the reason that they're doing that is obviously to get more money in. And Jay Monahan, PGA Tour can say whatever they want. They're offering more money in these events as a direct
competition.
As a direct response for the fact that Liv are offering all this.
Oh yeah, I don't think it can be disputed that this wouldn't have happened if Liv didn't happen.
Yeah. So they're going to put more cash in. They've sold TV rights quite a long way down the line. They're going to be getting more advertisements in. So they're going to be fueling all this, and I can't really see how they're going to make the product better. Their one big innovation so far this year I've seen on TV coverage is that ball tracker that when people hit,
it shows like where it's going to land. Or
it estimates where the ball's going to land.
And then they do those like one-hole walkthroughs with a player where they talk to them.
Those are
that's
great.
decent.
But, no, it is. Yeah. But I'm just, that's the kind of thing
that's
rather than just
with
like
the AirPod in.
Yeah.
I mean,
rather than just showing us where the ball might land on a green.
That's fine. But how much they would have invested in seeing where the ball lands on the green?
Yeah.
Like it's the most pointless piece of technology I've ever seen in my life.
I think is probably a 50-50 split with people. Is someone probably prefers to wait to see where the ball's going to go. That's the whole kind of like.
It does nothing.
I don't want to. I don't want to know where it's gone.
Yeah, it tells you a split second before you see it.
Yeah,
it's going to land there.
It's only for 0.5 of a second, isn't it? And it says it's going to go in the front right bunker, and it ends up in the front left.
It doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, that's probably another side issue about how we watch golf. So I can't see the coverage of the PGA Tour getting any better. I can see the competition getting less. I can see it getting scrappy around the lesser tier events. Mm-hmm. And if the PGA Tour are trying to do events where they guarantee that the very best players in the world are there to watch at all times, how is that any different than some of the things they've been railing against for the last 18 months?
I was interested to see how Rory was going to defend it, having been so vocal about the kind of being loyal to the PGA Tour and to the PGA in general as the kind of live stuff unfolded. I was interested to see kind of what he was going to say in defense of this thing, which on the face of it looks very similar to the thing that they've been complaining about for the last year or whatever. But then also there have been a couple of nice little banter moments. I liked that Liv tweeted.
They tweeted that thing. It's like flattery.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, which I quite liked. Well done, Liv. Good work. Whoever came up with that tweet idea, pat on the back. And then the other one was Scotty Scheffler showed his Masters invite.
That was good.
And at the bottom, he had edited it that said, "Live players with meeting
on the ninth green
at 9."
Is this actually real?
I think someone on his team had made it look like that.
I was going to say
the font's not the same.
The Masters didn't actually send that invite out. No.
That's what I was going to say.
I think you can see where a piece of paper's been cut out and stuck onto the thing.
And it says, "Live players meet on the 9th green at 9 p.m."
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out. And it's everything with golf at the minute is like how is everything going to go? Like live stuff, obviously we're still waiting for that to kind of settle. The PGA Tour stuff now we're going to have to be waiting for that to settle because that's going to create some animosity between like the 125th ranked guy and the 7th ranked guy.
For me, it's just that I don't want PGA Tour to lose what the PGA Tour is, and I feel like that's what's being lost.
My only slight sort of rebuttal to that would be is that you are right in that you have these Thegalas and Mito Pereira.
Yeah, I want the Cinderella stories to still exist.
But if these guys are good enough, they will get there.
Yeah.
Like Mito Pereira and Thegala are top 50 players.
Yeah, but I want to see. I want to see the players who that's their only win of their entire career. They just got hot on one day. They just got really lucky. Those things aren't going to happen in those events if those less. But
you're only. But
players
again, it's like you want them to win, but you want them to make sure they win like a big one. They could have that one-off win, and they win. I said the Barracuda already, but it's the one in my head. But like they win the Barracuda, but then if they win that does give them points, and they do elevate themselves. And then if they get on a hot streak, they go up in the FedEx rankings. Yeah. If they get on a hot streak, they get into the world ranking.
I guess also it's gonna.
I'm not saying I don't like it or I don't but I think there is at least they're still allowing.
Yeah, I say
guys to get there.
It will be like rewarding consistency, which makes sense.
What they're doing this year with the elevated events at the moment, I think and still having the FedEx Cup at the end is great. I don't think they need to adjust it. I don't know why they're doing it, but and that's just my opinion.
Yeah, the reason doing it is just to get more money into players' pockets, so they stay on the tour. It's as simple as that. That is the only reason.
They had that meeting, didn't they, at the end of whatever it was last year or whatever, where they all went and clearly the players were like, "Yeah, of course we want to go to Live because they've got more money, but we also want to stay here because it's a better place to be, and you guys look after us."
I think from
what we want from you is more cash.
Yeah, from a point of view of like which. Like if you gave me the choice, it's PGA Tour still want to watch.
Yeah.
Out of what it offers, from what it is, its history and all the rest of it, and it is still where the best players play in the majority. So that's where I want to watch golf. So the reason that they've done what they're doing and announced what they're planning is so those best players don't leave, they stay, because they know that if they continue to play well, they're going to get guaranteed money. Like the PGA Tour from this kind of setup probably won't lose anything, and they might gain something. Live is just ticking along, trying to do what it's doing. If it succeeds or not, who knows? We'll see. The biggest loser out of this at the moment is the DP World Tour.
That was the next thing I was going to go on to, is like, what happens with them now?
Like in this whole conversation, they are being cut adrift.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't really know where they kind of go.
Yeah.
Because they kind of put their flag in the ground a little bit with this strategic alliance. And at the moment, strategically, it ain't working out.
Yeah.
Not very strategic for us.
Yeah.
No. So, they're probably going to have a bit of a think really about the direction they're going to travel in. Because I can see it. I can see something where, let's say people are desperate to get onto the PGA Tour where all the money's at. Let's say people are desperate to get onto Live where all the money's at. I can definitely see like both the PGA with the Corn Ferry Tour becoming a lot stronger, purses getting a little bit bigger, and that becoming more of it is a direct feed for the PGA Tour, but literally all the best talent going to that.
Yeah.
Could you make an argument for the lower ranked PGA guys even making a decision to go to the DP World Tour?
Yeah, you could do.
If they feel like there's no way for them to get to those elevated ones, could the DP World Tour make more of a conscious effort to try and make their package appealing for those guys to maybe go there?
Potentially, but I don't think they've not got the money.
No, it just literally comes down to them not being able to offer them as much cash.
Some Americans, like Brooks Koepka, went over to do. Sorry, going back to Brooks Koepka.
Sorry, my Brooks Koepka alarm's gone off.
No, but like Americans do go over there to make a name for themselves and then come back. So it's like.
But again, like, how many really?
Oh no.
It's certainly not like it was in the glory days where like the European players, they went over to the States to play every now and again, but the European Tour was their home. It's where they played. They could make a living. They were pretty loyal to it because of what it represented and what they could get out of it. Now, realistically, with the ease of the way that players are able to move around, if you're a good European player, you're able to make the cut in the PGA Tour events. Yeah. Why would you not move to Jupiter, Florida, and play on the PGA Tour? What is your motivation for staying on the European Tour and playing?
Yeah, they need some ludicrous investment, don't they, in order to be able to keep those kind of players.
And like traveling all over the place, playing all these kind of weird and often wonderful places. That's the one thing about the European Tour, with the DP World Tour, which is, I think, still a strength, is that the places they go, like there's sometimes a bit more interest there than where the PGA Tour goes. But your Tyrrell Hatton, your Tommy Fleetwood, you're going to say, right, okay, you can play this really interesting course in the Czech Republic
for 11 grand.
Yeah, or you can play this straight up, straight down TPC course somewhere. But if you make the cut, you're literally going to make £100,000 more.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I think all of this has just kind of magnified what each tour is. It's just brought it more into the light now. It's made it more obvious actually what each of these things want to be. The DP World Tour was what it is 3 years ago. Just now there's more money on the PGA Tour and it's moving itself away. There's a distance now. It's more obvious what it is.
It's interesting in it as well because like with the DP World Tour, like we're chatting about it not being able to compete. They're still not giving away, but they're still rewarding their players.
Yeah. They're doing as best they can. Yeah. There's just no way for them to compete really with the other money, is there?
They're giving them with massive amounts of money, but it's just it's just not enough to be able to compete with the other things that are out there now.
Yeah, it's just like is for me like is the DP World Tour going to be in week out? Like, are you going to have the Czechs? Are these tournaments like the Czechs, like the Austrian Open, going to survive? It's those events that you have to look at and be like, what are these events? You know what I mean? So
I think they'll still be there. I just don't think.
I don't see them. Who's going to play? Like you were saying about why would they not just go over to the PGA Tour and?
But why would the field change? Because they can't get to the PGA Tour now. That's the problem. That's more the conversation.
But then it all backtrack back down to the money, right? If they haven't got the players, then Sky or whoever don't want to show it because there's no big people there. Then they don't get a paycheck because it's not on TV, and then the players get less money. And then
that's what I mean from a broadcasting standpoint. Like,
does the field for these DP World Tour events change because of the news from the PGA Tour? I don't think it does because they can't get there. Yeah. That's the problem. They can get there, but it's very, very, very difficult now for them to make that jump and then actually, create themselves as PGA Tour players.
It doesn't mean they can't go and play on the PGA Tour because there's lots of events that they can still get access to, but they just have to be in a certain level in order to get into the elevated ones.
The better players, the better players are going to go, and then like it just
the better players from the DP.
Yeah, so it's just
where are they? To the PGA?
Yeah. That's what I mean.
So what though? That's the thing.
So with those players, let's say you're a DP World Tour player, if you wanted to try and get into some of these events, you'd be relying on going through tour school, going through Corn Ferry finals, getting sponsors invites, or relying on your world ranking points to kind of do all of that thing. But at the moment, and certainly next year, what's going to happen with the world ranking points? Because as far as I'm aware, one of the key qualifiers to make sure, one of the key qualifying criteria to award world ranking points is that events have a cut. Now, obviously that's not going to be affecting the whole of the PGA Tour season. It is only elevated events, and we should make that absolutely clear. But, they're still going to be awarded in like majors and stuff.
Yeah.
So again, it's just like access into that tour becomes more and more difficult. And Jacob's right. If you're good enough, the argument is you'll make it. But there's also an argument that says sometimes you need to do what Kurt Kitayama did, play all these millions of different tours.
Go and play on the Asian Tour and go and play on the the Japan. He played on the Japanese Tour, the Asian Tour, the
Sunshine,
everything.
Sunshine, European DP, everything.
Earned just enough to get himself by, and then double. He his career earnings was 4.1 million, and then he won the tournament and earned 3.6. So it's doable.
Yeah,
it's doable.